Hello guys, welcome to Web Scraping Kung Fu series, and today we're gonna scrape elements from multiple pages. So here the content is absolutely just like in the previous chamber, but the difference here is we already have some sort of a pagination here. So if you just kind of navigate through the pages, then we see that the content is uploaded respectively. So that's so what we're supposed to implement today is some sort of a site crawler, some sort of web crawler. So we would be making not the only HTTP GET request, but as many requests as many pages we need to scrape. So without further ado, let's actually jump in and start writing some code. So, okay, I just didn't even yeah, I didn't even yet open my project here. So let's go to the project itself, and yeah, the reason for that is actually when I started recording this video, I've seen that it's still chamber number 2 while it's actually chamber number 3, so I had to fix this just right now. Okay, that doesn't really matter that much for this video. So open the terminal here, and you know, like, I just don't really want you guys to see me writing exactly the same code as I did in the last video. So I will simply grab this code from the previous series, and if you're really interested regarding the data extraction logic, so please reference the code. And here we're actually going to continue and actually implementing the crawler itself, and maybe just write a couple of useful functions as well, like storing the response to HTML file. Okay, so let's actually try. The first thing we're supposed to do here is just try to change. So we don't really want to write anything to CSV at the moment. Okay, and also, so we need, so let's get this back to the item actually. So let's call this an item, and let's bring the item to screen. So the JSON dumps for pretty stuff, and the item itself and indent equal to 2. So okay, chamber number 3.py. Okay, so here actually we have, well, it should be 10 movies. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 movies here. So exactly the number of movies that appear on the page. So these 10 movies, well, not this one to be exact, this one to be exact. And as you can see that in order to actually start crawling on other pages, here is a request, a page request is added. I'm just wondering, does the module used here is called Flask pagination. I'm just wondering if I try the page number 1, is this going to show me really like the very first page? So, well, it seems like it does. Okay, so in this case we'll divide the URL into 2 parts. So the first part until here would be called the base URL, and this would be just a simple page number. So just copy this stuff, and I also need to create a variable which is called base URL. So like this, and here in the run function the logic would be slightly bit different. So I just comment this stuff out for a while. And now I need to loop over the page range. So I say for page in range It's like a wrapping for page in range. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, in range of from 0 to the number of pages actually we were supposed to scrape. Well, we can specify the number of pages here, but well, I think this would be enough just to specify them in the loop itself. So so we start from index 1 because we have the first page as page 1, not the page 0. So and this would scrape actually 2 pages. Okay, so would scrape 2 pages, and now we need to formulate a next page length. So next page would be equals self dot base URL plus, and now we need to convert the page is actually an integer, but we need to convert this to string in order to make this string concatenation. So stringify, like that, stringify the page. So string page like this, and let's simply just try to print the next page in order to see what would be the URL that we're supposed to crawl. So here we see the Heroku, scrapping Kung Fu Heroku app chamber and page number 1 and page number 2, and that's exactly what we need here. So these are the pages that we're supposed to crawl through. So what else do we need? Okay, and another thing that is kind of good sort of practice. So here in requests, when we're crawling kind of not the only page, that we're really interested about how the things are going on and whether the request status is okay, and so on. So well, it's actually in general it's a good practice to parse the content only in case if we have the response status code of 200, which means the response is okay. Well, but at least, well, here there is no need for this in this tutorial. For this side would definitely return the 200 status code always. So what I need here, I just want to print some debugging information, and let's just say that I'm making HTTP GET request to URL, and I specify the URL itself. So the URL, and I just want to end this print statement with nothing, so the next line would be printed on the same line. So here I just actually want create a response object like this, just to bring the debugging information. So now I want to print like this the status code. So I could have actually put the entire line after the response is done, but still it's kind of more logical. So first to telling what kind of URL you're supposed to scrape, and when you're done, then you just print the status code. So here we already reference the response object, not the response object itself, but the response object's status code. So I say response dot status code. That's an attribute of the response object here. So, and well, let's actually say, so if this response status code, let's actually make this little test here. So if response code is equal to 200, return response, else let's print this in a cool manner, like something has gone wrong. Has gone wrong, and status code maybe like this. Status code and the response status code. So let's actually see how this is supposed to be, how this is supposed to look like. Well, for some reason I don't see any changes. Okay, that's because I didn't actually call the response. Okay, so what we're supposed to do now actually is we're going to fetch not the single fixed URL, but the next page URL that we have just generated here. So let's actually see how is this going to look like. Okay, another good idea to consider is actually adding some response timeouts. So in order to respect the policies of the site you're scraping at the moment. Well, the site that I've created doesn't actually really need that, and you won't ever be blocked by IP or something like that, because that site is made exactly for the learning purposes. So but actually, well, when in my dreams, like one day there would be hundreds of guys who want to scrape the Scraping Kung Fu site. Well, in that case, this might have turned out a disaster with the servers down issue. So in order to avoid that, well, we need actually to make what is known a request delay. So that's fairly simple. I just need to import the time module here, and after the response is made, I say simply the time dot slip, and well, at least let's slip for 1 second. Well, it's better to slip actually for 2 seconds. Okay, so let's try to run the script one more time. Now we're waiting for 2 seconds. Okay, and now we're done. Now let's put some gibberish here. Well, I just wanted to test that if the response code is not to hundreds. Okay, so probably if we just try to go for some sort some sort of not existent page, not existing row. So I hope in that case he would give us that. Okay, something has gone wrong. Status code. Okay, and he still crawls. Well, the problem is that if the status code is actually not that great, that the parser won't work. So we can also write the entire parser code. Say like if the status code, well, in that case we would need to actually pass the response to that. Well, or we can handle this right here. So say if the response is so parse only in case if the response has the status code of 200. So well, let's actually implement that. Why not? So now I say if response dot status code is equal to 200. Well, in this case we actually want to parse the text, and in all the other cases we just, well, it's not really kind of what you would have in the particular production version, but still something looks like something that looks like that at least. Okay, and else what we want just simply to continue. So we just going to iterate over the next pages and things like that. So okay, let's actually try this one more time. Okay, now type has no attribute status code. Excuse me. Oh, that's because they didn't return anything. Okay. So, well, basically, okay, let's make it a little bit different. So if it's not equal, then we print this something has went wrong. So then we just return the response. So yeah, we want to return the response in our case. Oh, maybe we don't really ever need that. Something went wrong. So it still prints the status code here. Well, okay, let's actually let's make it a little bit different font. So we just keep the response like that. So here actually print. Oops. Let's make it just like this. Skipping to the next page. Well, I didn't really plan to do this, guys, so that's why the flow of my talk is a bit broken here. So something has run. Skipping to the next page. Okay, but when we actually use the normal URL here that we're actually really supposed to scrape, just pause it here, then we're supposed to get actually a response and pre-print stuff for every single page we're scraping. So like this. So here along the scraping is going on, so we see our HTTP GET request, and then everything else is going on there. Well, so actually we won't really be printing this item, so I just return this back to bring it back to the self.results.append. So one just simply to append results like this, and after we're done, actually we can simply to store the results to the CSV file here. So let's just try and do that. So here we're supposed to have a new CSV file. So let's run the script one more time. Oh, name item is not defined. Of course it's not. Okay, so scraping from page number 1, page number 2, and we got the movies.csv file at the very end. So let's have a quick look. Okay, so seems like 20 entries here, which is okay, and the data seems to be okay as well. Okay, now we can actually increase the number of pages to whatever. So let's scrape, say, 4 pages here. From 1 to 5, that would be 4 pages. Okay. Well, while this being scraped, I just want to say a few words. So, well, sometimes when you're adding a scraper to scrape some not the educative resource, but some real data to scrape that you're interested in, you know that you might get blocked by the server, and in that case, if you did already scrape at least something, that would be a good idea to actually store the CSV, storing the CSV along the way. So after the item has been actually scraped here, you want already to kind of store this to CSV file, and that's probably that would be the logic I'd like to implement in this particular video. For it really kind of regards that sensitive topic. So let's see. So we got these 4 pages scraped, and let's just quickly have a look at the result here. So yeah, okay. well, if you're scraping for about, like, say 4 pages, doesn't matter, then you would actually have this file, right? So everything seems to be okay. But imagine that you're scraping like all the 300 pages, like it is in here, and that would be actually the topic of some of the next chambers, where you would face being blocked after the certain number of requests. So maybe what I'm supposed to tell about this is regards that particular topic, but still I want to cover this exactly in this video. So let's just kick this movies.csv away, and let's try to run the scraper one more time, and I would simply say just cancel the execution. And as you can see here, no movies.csv appeared. Well, why that happened? That's because he starts storing files to CSV, storing entries to CSV only after we have successfully scraped the entire site, crowd and scrape as well. So that's the reason. Okay, what's wrong with my camera view here? So let's slightly modify the this to CSV file. So instead of writing a file, let's actually append one. We don't really want this here to be written every time. Well, in one of my one-time scrapers, in the one-time scraper series, I did write a function that I did write the condition that checks for if the file already exists. Okay, let me just pause the video and quickly check that out. Okay, then one is called os.path is file method to check whether the file exists. But let me just basically demonstrate you that stuff. So, well, in this case we won't need actually the results. So, well, let's just pick the results out, and here we just bring back our item here. Okay, no need actually for, no, there is a need. Yeah, there is a need. Okay, so let's bring back our item here, and the to CSV would contain this item as the argument to pass in, and we want actually to write the item that we are passing here. Okay, let's keep this for now like this, and here when we kind of in the parse function, when we're iterating over the index, the range of indexes, so each time we get an item, so we want to write every single item just as far as we managed to scrape it. So I say self dot to CSV and pass the item as an argument, and we don't need to deal with CSV here. And just to make sure that this works, so let's bring this write an item to movies.csv. Of course, you can specify the file name as another argument. That's just fine. So write in items to movies.csv, and also we want the item itself. Let's just make a couple of spaces here. The second argument would be actually JSON dumps item and indent equal to 2. Okay, let's try to run this stuff one more time. So, okay, there's no attributes results, so that's because we're still appending them somewhere. Okay, where does it deal with the results? Aha! So here Well, and so here we want to change this stuff to item keys, so that the item keys are these guys. Okay, so and see the movies.csv file has already been created. So, and we're writing item by item, and we just pause here. So where are we actually? What kind of page? Let's see. So we have stopped at page number 2, and the last element that was scraped was actually this one, the Bruce 7 promises. Okay, so let's quickly check for the very last element here, and we see the Bruce 7 promises, and okay, just the scroll bar. But the problem here, you see that the title and the general country, the headers, are printed every time. That's really weird. We don't really want it. We want to print the headers only if this is the very first time we're writing the file. So, and that's actually where we need to specify the logic I've been talking about a few minutes ago. So I say, so we actually need to import one more library. So we need to import os.path. This is some sort of a system library providing the access to the given path on the disk. So here we just want to say if os.path.isFile, and here we just provide the path to the file that we're supposed to figure out whether it exists or not. So here we say the movies.csv. So if this returns true, so I mean if not os.path, then we want to write header. Well, in any other case, we actually don't really want to write the header. Well, so also I need to delete this file because the next session would just append to the existing file, which might be handy if you're scraping the site not in the one row but several times. Say. Okay, why do I have 2 terminals opened? I don't need those. Okay, let's try to run this again, and let's pause again and reload. And here, okay, here we don't have them at all. Okay, let me check this out. Why? Okay guys, just me pause the video and find out what's going on here. Okay, so let's actually try to follow the way that we've done in one-time scraper related to scraping Kung Fu movies, actually the database of movies for this site that we're scraping now. So what I did there was actually creating the variable called movie exists equal to os.path.isFile. Oh yeah, for sure. So okay, so it has to be right over here, not in the with block. So if not movie exists, then right here. So just try to kick this away. And try to run this one more time. Okay. So pause, reload. Okay, now we have the title, genre, country, year. Okay, and we have this only once. Great. So let's actually run the scraper one last time to see the final output. Okay, so just before doing that, I don't really want to print this stuff to screen. Where did I print this stuff to screen? I'm not sure. Let's try to find the print statements here. Okay, here. So yeah, let's actually get rid of this. Don't need this anymore. So we've debugged this, so no need for that. Printing out a particular item that we're actually now scraping. Okay. So crawling the pages, extracting the data, and storing to CSV as soon as we've scraped at least something. So now let's see the movies.csv file one more time. Okay, so here we have the entire set, so absolutely the same, but this time we can just abort the process of crawling and scraping, and still all the data that has been scraped until that moment would actually be saved. And that's quite important, especially in cases when you're about to scrape thousands of pages, so just bear that in mind while crawling more than kind of 100 pages. So that's really important thing to consider. Okay guys, so I hope you've learned something from this chamber, and basically this is it for this video. So until the next time, and take care.